מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא יחסר, בנותש יביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן, נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמר ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבת בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
As Cantor Schiffman began our service, as we recall Karen, Rita Steiger, a blessed memory, with Psalm 23 in the Hebrew, please join me in the English, The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We gather today to share words of praise, of love, of honor, of gratitude and thanks, as we recall with incredible affection Karen Steiger, Bubby, a beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, wife, sister, sister-in-law, aunt, and friend. And though it is difficult to say goodbye to such a special woman, today truly is a celebration of a life well lived. For a woman who had incredible strength and fortitude, such intelligence and creativity, such adventure, always a smile, a true Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor, the matriarch of this family. And as the family wrote in the notice, Karen was a dynamic, witty, creative woman, a lover of family, the ocean, and nature, loyal to the people and causes in her life. Her tenacity was legendary and greatly appreciated. Every Friday night at the Shabbos table, and if you know Karen, Shabbos dinner was a hallmark for her and her family. There's a tradition that her husband and children and grandchildren recite a passage from the Bible, from the book of Proverbs called Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And I'm going to read a part of that passage that we read every Shabbos, and we think it was written for our Karen. Eshet Chayil miyimsa v'rachot mibne michra batak bal lebala v'shala lo yaksar. What a precious find is a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband puts his confidence in her and lacks no good thing. She's good to him, never bad, all the days of her life. She opens up her hand to the needy. She extends her hands to the poor. Clothed with strength and splendor, she looks to the future cheerfully, opens her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is always guided by kindness. She oversees all the activities of her household, never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her, saying, "Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all." Extol her for the fruit of her hand, and whenever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. Our beloved Karen has departed from this world, leaving a good name, and she's returned home in peace at the age of 83. We all extend our deepest condolences to the family, to her loving, devoted husband, true life partner, best friend, and kayak mate, Leonard, just shy of 64 years of marriage. I'd say kayak mate except for when Karen turned and said, "You know there are alligators in the water here in Florida." Leonard may have gotten out of his kayak at that moment. To her 2 sons and their wives, who were so special to her, not just daughters-in-law, but daughters-in-love, to Andrew and Wendy and David and Mindy. To the apples of her eye, her grandchildren, to Eli, Mariah and Jerry, Allegra and Kevin, Chelsea and Adam, Carly and Scott, and to the diamonds in her crown, her great-grandchildren, to Luke, Bo, Jane, Tess, and Willa, to her sisters Rhoda and Sheila, and brother-in-law Alan, and to Len's siblings as well, brothers and sisters-in-law, who are also family forever, to her adoring nieces and nephews, extended family and friends, and she now rejoins her parents and all those who have gone before in their eternal home. We have some very special family tributes for Karen. I'd like first to call up her sister-in-law, Karen.
Ooh, a lot of people here. First, I wanted to say that I have to say this, that I had some help writing this eulogy that I'm going to say now. It actually wasn't with AI, it was with JS. So if you want to know what that is, ask me later. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm known as the other Karen Steiger. However, I was almost not Karen Steiger. My husband, Ezra, went to his sister-in-law, Karen, for advice while we were dating. He wanted to know, how do I know whether we should get married? And Karen said, do you love her? And he said, yes. And she said, well, then marry her. Thank you, Karen. That was obviously good advice. We love sharing the same name, but sometimes it got confusing. Like the time we both went to the same luncheon, and there was only one Karen Steiger name tag. And when we asked the organizers, they said they originally had 2, but they thought they made a mistake and they tore the other one up. So at least in the family, we became known as her Karen, number 1, and me, Karen, number 2. She became like the sister that I never had, sharing daily phone calls even though we saw each other all the time. And people always remarked how close we were as sisters-in-law, but it always felt natural to me, whether choosing clothing for me from Bon K or caring for me when I had chemo. Karen was always there for me. Sometimes she showed her love by giving advice, but it didn't always work out. For example, she told me not to wear glasses because I would become too dependent on them, and that's why she didn't wear glasses. However, one time when we were in the car, she brought letters with her to mail if we passed the mailbox. All of a sudden she said, look, there's a mailbox. We pulled over to what she insisted was a mailbox, and it turned out to be a short person in a large blue puffer coat. But I'm not the only member of the family that Karen had close connection to. She was a special aunt to my children, John and Joanna, and all of her many other nieces and nephews. We did so many things together, travel, holidays, walking miles on the beach and in Beechwood, and preparing food for family picnics. She would always make a delicious potato salad from scratch, while I got away with only opening a can of baked beans. And she would always say, "I can't believe all you have to do is make baked beans." This is her voice. "While I have to peel 5 pounds of potatoes, boil the eggs, and make potato salad." But it was always the best. And let me finish by saying, I love you, Karen, and I was very happy that we shared so many wonderful things together. I will always be honored to have been the other Karen Steiger.
Now we'll call up a group of some of the grandchildren, Eli, Mariah, and Allegra.
In life, we are given few opportunities to receive true unconditional love. Bubby gave us that gift day after day, week after week, year after year. At Shabbos dinners, over holidays, through acts as simple as picking us up from preschool, singing Broadway in the car, when we made waffles after a sleepover, or she taught us to play Mexican dominoes, during our walks down Hutchinson Island looking for sea glass and soaking up the sun. These quiet moments of intimacy will be treasured for the rest of our lives. Bubby's conviction, sense of purpose, ability to make a person feel loved, important, and special, these are qualities that have shaped us into the people we are today, and memories we will carry with us for the rest of our lives. We would not be who we are without her commitment to family and how she brought us together to grow and thrive. As the matriarch of our family, Bubby was never afraid to tell us when she thought we were wrong, and God help you if you disagreed with her. But underneath any sharp words or critical thoughts, there was always an ocean of love. No matter any disagreement, never was there a moment of any doubt of that boundless love. Growing up surrounded by that love equipped us to face and surmount any and every challenge we have confronted, and has given us the gifts of resilience and strength.
And oh, how strong she was. Beneath the surface was a woman larger than life, fierce, powerful, and full of tenacity. Strong-willed and resolute in who she was, what she knew, and what she wanted. Time and time again, she showed us the value of hard work, perseverance, and the imperative to reach for what your heart desires. One shining example of her courage is her battle with cancer these last 5 years. To get the news of her diagnosis was devastating. That such a vivacious woman could be given such a prognosis was unthinkable. But Bubby did not accede to that diagnosis. She would say, "It's already written in the stars." She decided that there was nothing in this world that could keep her from living to make it to my wedding. Not only did she make it and walk down the aisle, but she danced the night away. Despite her terminal diagnosis, we were genuinely shocked to hear Bubby was entering hospice. No matter how many treatments stopped working, she refused to give up. Her strong will and vigor were apparent until the very end. Even in her last days, she was yelling at us to not mark up the walls, moving her wheelchair through an impossibly tight hallway. She laughed throughout her final days and still got competitive over our last games of gin rummy, kvetching that I beat her despite her just teaching me the game days prior.
That is the woman that will live forever in our memories, spirited, beautiful, smiling, and dancing, full of life and love and laughter. someone whose presence meant love, comfort, and great food. Impeccably dressed, clad in a rainbow of colors and patterns, and bringing joy into the lives she touched. To have had the opportunity to spend these last weeks and days by her side is an incredible gift and honor. At our beginnings, Bubby was there to hold us and wash us, feed us and comfort us, to make sure we knew just how deeply we were loved. We can only hope that she knew just how deeply, We can only hope that she felt the same love and acceptance from us at the end. We are honored to have the opportunity to reciprocate a fraction of the unconditional love she gave us so freely, and hope that someday we have grandchildren who love us as much as we love our Bubby.
Len, and now Len wanted to share a few words.
There's a tradition or a belief that on Friday nights, after the davening, those people that are in attendance at a synagogue and they leave the synagogue to go home, that there are angels that accompany them to their home. I have to admit that I never went to synagogue too often on Friday nights. But if there was an angel roaming around and wanted someplace to go, and he happened to go to our house, he would find at different points, a challah, wine for Kiddush, maybe somebody saying Shalom Aleichem, singing the song, maybe someone giving a 60-second drasha on the parsha of the week, and a table, elaborate set, whether for 2, for 4, or 9. Karen was a great cook and lovingly prepared those meals with love. Even as recently as December of last year, before we went to Florida, despite her condition which began to deteriorate, she still found the energy and the love to prepare those meals. And for that, we are eternally grateful. I wanted to take this opportunity, though, to thank those who were involved with Karen's care for the last 5+ years. I guess I knew my way by heart to get to the Tassa Cancer Center. I know it's on the 4th floor. You make a left turn, then another left turn, then a right turn, where they had angels living here on earth, who were so helpful, so skillful in terms of providing the care that Karen needed to continue the fight, to able to do the kinds of things that she tried to do. These were people that were more than professionals doing their job that they should have done. These were people that interacted with Karen with love. The chemo and the nurses that provided the chemo for Karen twice a month for 5 years or longer in terms of the amount of treatment that she had. They knew Karen. They knew about my sons. They knew about the wedding that was going to come up. And Karen knew about their lives because they had that Menschlichkeit kind of interaction with Karen. She thought highly of her two doctors, Dr. Mishner, Dr. Shapiro, and again, she not was only able to relate to them about her illness and ask questions, but she knew about their family as they knew about hers. There also was a physician assistant that she was extremely close with. Her name is Kristen, and David will tell you her last name. Kodieski. In 1956, in September, the angels up in heaven looked down and said, talked with God and said, listen, there's a problem down here. This guy needs some help. He needs some help. It had to be divine because she was my Ezer Kenegdo, my soulmate, my helpmate. But more than that, she was my leader. In every facet of our lives together. Now, I don't know if it's Barsheret or not, that one of my grandchildren or one of my sons found a picture of Karen. This had to be her high school picture as she graduated from high school. She wrote,
to my darling Lenny, I'll always be by you and be with you, and I'll always love you. Love, Karen. I wasn't going to say anything. I gave my words to the rabbi, but Len also wanted to say as part of his eulogy that in the end, the angels he was talking about that have helped him throughout his life took the shape of her grandchildren that were with her every day during the 3 weeks she was in hospice, administering to her to give the medication that she needed, helping to change her clothing, helping her with every facet of hospice care. And he also wanted to thank Donna, the hospice nurse, that interacted so beautifully with Karen. And that's, I think, the only other part that Len wanted to say during his eulogy that he forgot to say. And one last tribute. This is from Mindy, daughter in love, and I know that the words also echo for Wendy, daughter in love, but this is what Mindy wrote for today. Dear Mother Steiger, you lived a full, rich life of 83 years, Kinahara. Knowing you for over 16 years, I was so fortunate and honored to have you as my mother-in-law. You maintained true and loyal friendships throughout your life. Your interests were wide and varied, from mahjong and bridge to lip sync performances to golf and kayaking, cooking and baking, and most recently being the best source of TV show recommendations. I'm sorry my last one of Baby Reindeer wasn't as well received as expected. You prepared countless Shabbos dinners from scratch, and it was magical. How you always knew how much food was needed and not going to waste. You shared cool stories about seeing Elvis in front row seats, being at a Broadway play with Jackie Kennedy Onassis sitting a few rows not in front of you, but she was behind you, to going skiing in Europe and dancing at the Chalet discotheque with French male skiers. We visited you in Florida on Hutchinson Island, or the island as you proudly referred to it. We met your countless friends. We ate at your favorite restaurants. We sat at the beach, listened to the waves, and collected sea glass. Everyone here should know that you, Mother Steiger, found the crown jewel of sea glass, the deep red, which is now being passed down to your great-grandson. You welcomed my son Scott into your life and home, treating him as if he was your own flesh and blood, attending his basketball games, and even feeding his friends Shabbos dinner on occasion. I will always remember our times together at the cupcake decorating class, the lavender farm, going out to eat, talking about what's going on in the community, TV shows, world events, whose nail polish would stay on longer. You let our dog Ted come into your home. Ted was always excited when it was time to go to Karen's. He came in the door of your house and started barking for you to give him a treat. You were disappointed because he didn't lick your hand, and you would tell all of us he's not a very affectionate dog. You and David had a very special mother-son bond that no one will ever be able to replicate. You called each other dear. David would spend any and every moment he could just being in your presence. He loved your cooking more than anything, so much so that when it was his birthday, he only wanted a home-cooked meal by you. I admired your sharp tact, your wit, and common sense. I know very few people who were as right as often as you. I've said to David on many occasions, your mother is always right. When you were diagnosed with cancer, you rose above it, continued with everything you enjoyed, including those countless dinners, and adding in even more volunteer work. You were named Volunteer of the Year just a couple of years ago for your work at Thriftique. You wanted to go to the desert to see Andrew and Wendy's Airbnb. We accompanied you last October, our last trip together for a week near Palm Springs. You enjoyed Joshua Tree, Palm Springs celebrity home tours, including Elvis's honeymoon home, and eating at Cary Grant's house. We will always laugh about David pushing you up a mountain peak to see a vista in your walker that transformed to a wheelchair, which you nicknamed the Cadillac. And thanks to it, you didn't slow down. We keep Len in good health. We promise to keep Len in good health and spirits. We know he will be found in one of two different places, his favorites, the synagogue, and you know where. But in those times in between, we will be together and reminisce about you as if you are still with us. I promise to take care of David for as long as he will have me, to honor your memory by being a better cook, wife, friend, and mom. Rest in peace and comfort, dear mother, our crown jewel. I hope you're sitting on a beach somewhere with Teddy by your side, licking your hand and enjoying long-lost family and friends. Save me a special seat next to you, so I look forward to being with you again. Love until the end of time. Mindy. When I came to last visit Karen, she had begun her transition to home hospice, a fighter till the end. She was sitting at home in her chair, radiant like a queen in her castle, surrounded by children and grandchildren attending to her, so dignified and graceful. To me, she reflected on a beautiful life that she created with Len for nearly 64 years. The beautiful and warm home that she had built, the immense pride she had in her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that she was grateful for her time in this world, blessings of family and friends of Florida and Cleveland, recalling her volunteer work in the community, finding all those treasure for counsel and Thriftique, using her prowess and expertise from retail fashion, her style and artistic nature. Karen was content. She told me she was ready for what would come. The Torah's command to honor your father and mother is repeated for a second time. There, the wording is slightly different. It doesn't say honor your father and your mother. It says revere your mother and your father. Sitting with the Steigers to reminisce and share memories of Karen the other day, it was clear to me that Karen, that Bubby, is revered in this family. And though she may have needed to be tough and feisty, persistent and determined, may be best summed up by the word that we came with on Tuesday as dogged. Karen Bubby was revered because of her loving nature, her kindness, her loyalty and devotion, her fun and adventure, her creative, artistic side, the way she could show you her love through her cooking phenomenally from scratch, which was universally endorsed. She had a special gift to make you feel seen, loved, and important. Intuitive, she was the voice of reason, highly intelligent, confident, and opinionated. When there was something to get done, she made sure to get it done. Fearless, whether on the French Alps or fearless throughout life. She was well organized, made a beautiful home where everything was laid out perfectly just her way. Karen loved living life. She wanted to get the most out of it, to make it to Allegra and Kevin's wedding, to go back down to Florida one last time, and she did. A Clevelander through and through, always living here on the east side, especially when they moved to that big house on Belvoir. From son David shared this. My mother and her mother, Bubby Lee Schneider, were cut from the same cloth. Bubby Lee was a force of nature, beautiful, outgoing. She made you feel like you were her favorite grandchild. And that's how my mother's grandchildren described Karen. She had that special ability when she was with you to make you feel like you were the most important person in the world. She spent her professional years working with her mother at Bon K Fashions, which we heard about, where she enjoys merchandising, creating displays, traveling to New York for buying trips. And the Tikkun Olam awarded Roshector Day School to this day is named in Karen's mother's memory, and that is for the most generous, caring, and compassionate graduate of the school. As Len told us on Tuesday, and he recounted just a piece of it, Karen and Len met on a fateful day in Jewish history. It was Yom Kippur, our most sacred day on the calendar in 1956. While still in high school, Len had been davening at Young Israel and was outside during a break, let's say, during services, with some of his other friends wearing his tennis shoes, because of course you don't wear dress shoes on Yom Kippur. Karen had taken a walk with a friend from Park Synagogue where she was because her friend wanted to visit her grandmother who was at Young Israel. Outside together, something must have caught Karen's eye about Len because not soon later, when they were back at school at Heights High, Karen had figured out Len's daily schedule, his walking path around the high school, and knew that Len went to a certain bathroom the same time every single day. Only this time when Len went to go to the bathroom, Karen was waiting outside for him. She asked Len that day to go to the Sadie Hawkins dance at Park Synagogue with him. And Len, you told me, I said yes, because I liked her too. It was a match. You two dated for a while. You told me from the start you always felt so comfortable together. You'd enjoy going out to Mentor on the lake or just being together. And you remember going ring shopping, not alone, but you went with Karen and with Bubby Lee also. And after getting married, Karen moved down to Columbus to be with you while you finished school at OSU. She started working and lived on that apartment on Stadium Drive. You loved how you complement each other, balance each other. She was the outgoing one, meeting and greeting. You were reserved. She was talkative, could spend hours on the phone. Len, more quiet. A short talk on the phone was plenty for you. Len was the family driver, though she never thought you were a good one. You recalled one day that you were coming up to Cleveland, and she had gone separately, and Len was following. but it was 13 hours already in his VW Beetle not to be seen. So Karen called the state troopers to go looking for you. Together you enjoy getting dressed up and going out on Saturday nights, traveling to Israel to volunteer together to teach English at Beit Sha'an, traveling across Europe, Egypt, and the islands. Len was the sous chef when Karen was the chef, but he did teach you to make one thing. Len made meatloaf, which was a family favorite. He told us, Len, that Karen not only put up with you, but had 3 names for you. Len, Leonard, and Dear. And you knew that when she called you Dear, that it was a good day. The best mother, David, you shared. My first memories of my mother were sitting with her holding me and singing to me. You said, growing up, I couldn't imagine going away to summer camp because I would be too homesick. I would miss her when she would go away on trips and days that she would work. I would wait her return. And you remember taking the Rapid downtown, you and Andrew, to go and visit her at work. Andrew, you shared that your mother taught you to love the ocean, the arts, and food, to be passionate and caring in life. You love how your relationship has gotten closer with her over the years. You told me that your mother was extraordinary and how much you looked up to her and how special it was that she loved every one of you and that she was an important part of your children's upbringing. They learned their gentleness and caring from their Bubby. You already heard Bubby was incredible to the grandchildren. You did share with me she was tough. She had high standards and expectations, but that she was only filled with love. Always welcome at the house. She let you put on her costume jewelry, let you visit her at Banquet, do pottery classes with her. That she exposed you to culture, taking you to the theater, to arts and museums. David added, as you've already heard, seeing how our grandchildren have cared for her in her final days, loving her through her final breaths, has left me heartbroken and humbled. An incredible cook and baker, known for her chicken soup, her chicken francois, her turkey schnitzel, matzo balls, gefilte fish from scratch, kalachol meatballs, upside-down apple cake, angel food cake, those immaculate Rosh Hashanah dinners and lunches, 5 courses at least each, her Pesach strawberry freeze, the chocolate mousse cake, kosher vichyssoise, her famous jelly button cookies, just to name a few, if you're not hungry yet. A volunteer extraordinaire for Council and Thriftique these last many years. Thriftique would actually arrange special shifts for her as she was going through her chemo. She couldn't be there when it was fully packed. So Thriftique so relied on her expertise and her heart and the great skills that she had with the work of evaluating and appraising all the things that came in, that they would find a special time when there were just a small number of people there to protect her immunity. And even when she couldn't drive, that everyone would pick her up and bring her there. She would always find a treasure in the donated goods that came through. She would research and appraise their value, even get them repaired, so that she would ensure that council would be able to sell it at its highest amount to make a profit so that they could do their good work that they do with those donated money. And even when she would find a tchotchke that she would want for home, everyone told her, just take it. She was so honest and devoted to the organization that she would pay the full price that she thought it would be. She lived with class and grace, generous to a fault. David, you shared these words too. These final days with my mother have been a blur, witnessing her decline from the ravages of cancer, but fighting on like a bruised and battered fighter. She always tried to engage in a loving way whenever she could with me and all of her loved ones. As I sat with her and laid with her in her final hours, those feelings that I haven't felt since I was a young child came flooding back. I ached to be with her, wanted to be near her by her side. I take solace in being surrounded by Mindy and family that feel the same way about my mother, having a special place in their hearts and soul. Karen was incredible, extraordinary, and so loved. We know that though she's no longer with us, this love, these memories, the tastes, the beauty, they're going to live on. We've already heard how they're going to live on in grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and for many, many generations to come. May her name only bring blessings, and we say, Amen. We'll rise now as Cantor Shippen will recite the memorial prayer.
El malei rachamim shochei b'meromim hametzei menucha nechona tachat כנפי השכינם במהלון הקדושים הטהורים כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים את נשמת חיירי זבב מרדכי ורבקה לאה שהלכה לעולמם בגן עדן תהי מנוחתם ענם בעל רחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור מצרור החיים את נשמתם אדוני הוא נחלתם ותנוח בשלום על משכבם ונאמר amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to our beloved Chaya Rezel, Karen Steiger, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that a loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May she merit the reward for living life the right way, with kindness, righteousness, and generosity. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And we say, Amen. We can be seated. Following the service, a burial will take place at Beit Olam Cemetery, and then the family will be sitting Shiva at the Steiger home, 29925 South Woodland Boulevard in Pepper Pike, today until 8 p.m. once we get back to the house. Friday from 1 to 4, Sunday from 2 to 8, Monday and Tuesday 2 to 8. And in addition to those times, there will be minions both morning and night, starting Friday morning at 7:30, and then after Shabbos resuming Sunday through Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m., concluding Wednesday morning with a morning minion at 7:30 a.m., and they'll be concluding Shiva Wednesday morning after that minion. Those who would honor Karen by making a donation to tzedakah in her memory can do so to the Cleveland Clinic Tacit Cancer Center or National Council of Jewish Women Thriftique. Yes.